Hi guys, it's Tom from Train TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us once again. In this video we are going to be doing a look at the Just Trains Metropolitan Line. First of all, we need to make you aware that this is not a review of the route in any way, due to myself and Mark being employed by Just Trains, and also for myself and Mark building the Met Line over the course of its development. So this is just a basic drive of the route, also just sort of highlighting how to drive the route efficiently and how to operate the signalling system correctly, as it's a bit more complicated than the usual railway signalling. We are on the S8 stock on this run also, not the S7+1 that is also available from justtrains.net at the same time of the Met Line release. Also, for the idea of doing the S8 for the scenario is that we've decided to have a little look at the S8 sound pack, which is available from Alan Thompson Simulation. This is created by Linus Follett. We will pop a link in the description for this video also. If you wish to have a little look yourself, it's totally free. It's nice to see that someone has come along and made a little pack. The pack features such as new sounds for the traction motors, rolling sounds, so sort of like running noises, also junction like so track joints, and the extra additional flange sounds. So some nice changes in there. You'll hear these over the course of the video. Just before we get started, obviously Metropolitan Line is obviously it's now released. And you can pick up this route from justtrains.net, and the price of the route is £29.99. Also, if you are an owner of the existing S8 pack, which has already been available for some time now, you can pick up that route for £21.99, giving you a saving of £8. Also, you can also pick up the S8 as well for £21.99, which has been available for some time now. The S7+1 is also available. That's available for the £21.99 mark. We will do a video featuring the S7+1 at some point soon. Also, there will be a bundle for the S7+1 and the Met Line together, which is £39.99, saving you around about £10 rather than paying for the two separate. We will obviously look at the S7+1 in a different video because it's slightly different to this in terms of like the passenger saloon area. Also, the Metropolitan Line is a 42-mile route of track to explore. Features 34 stations throughout the route, all created by custom assets. Also, you have a number of terminuses such as Amersham, Cheshire, where we're at now, Watford. We also then have Uxbridge, Baker Street, if you class that as a terminus with the bay platforms, Harrow on the Hill as well, because services do terminate there occasionally, and then also down to Aldgate. Aldgate is where we are going to have a drive to in a moment, so we'll show you a decent chunk of the route in this video. So that's me yabbing. We're going to have a little look around Cheshire before we get ourselves set up and ready to go. Again, one of the custom stations here that's featured. So you've got like the garden area here at Cheshire. It's quite cool, like plant pots and stuff like that actually there, and table and chairs if you wish to have a sandwich or something from the station. And little hanging baskets and stuff like that. It also features the lovely water tower on the station model itself there, for back in the steam days. You've got the old signal box here also dominating the scene of the station. And you'll see stuff like this along the route featured. There's old boxes here and there, also littered about at such stations such as like Liverpool Street, Baker Street as well, Rickmansworth. Same again with water towers. There's a water tower at Rickmansworth. So we're going to get straight onto this and get ourselves set up. So good evening, driver. This evening's tea time rush is beginning to liven up as you head south for the capital. You will be calling at all stations en route to Aldgate. Please open your doors and set up the cab prior for your 16:54 departure time. Have a safe trip. So, keys in, trip cock into forward. The doors open, and then we're going to set our TCMS up. So, just put some duty number in there. So, you just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 for the radio, and then the actual train number is 405, which is in the F1 briefing there. So we call it all stations on this run. So we're going to be calling at Cheshire currently, Chalfont and Latimer, Chorleywood, Rickmansworth, Moor Park, Northwood, Northwood Hills, Pinner, North Harrow, Harrow on the Hill, Northwick Park, Preston Road, Wembley Park, Finchley Road, Baker Street, Great Portland Street, Euston Square, Farringdon, no, not Euston Square, Farringdon, Euston Square, then on to King's Cross and Pancras, then Farringdon, sorry, Barbican, Moorgate, Liverpool Street and Aldgate. Total distance for this journey is 29.75 miles, journey total about 80 minutes. So the other bit we haven't done in here is our number, I think it's 219 or 213, 213. Just going to cancel that alarm by Shift and A, which is the dead man's alarm. So we've not been active for so many seconds, which starts the alarm off and all the radios. I'm going to go with the F1. I'm just going to get this on. We are due off in just under 30 seconds. So again, this video is going to teach you how to efficiently drive the route. Obviously with the approach controls and the drop signals, especially in the tunnels, as these really are going to be quite tricky for new users. It'll take you a bit of time to get to grips with this, and learning where the signals do change and where the triggers sort of are. We'll give you the right way of driving the route, so you can at least refer to something if you do get stuck. I will do videos for different sections of the route over time. Correct London Underground driving methods are to actually state that if you once your train's nose has actually hit the speed change sign, you can power up, but Train Sim itself will tell you that you are speeding, so it's down to your discretion, but you can actually power up once you pass the next speed change. But just for the sake of this and not seeing flashing yellow speeding every 2 seconds, we'll try and keep to the speed on this one. And if you do keep to the speeds until you've gone through them, at least you keep your timings. That's the other downfall in the scenario side of things. If you do drive the LUL speeds driving setup. So over the course of time, we'll bring you videos over all the branches of the route. Not all going to do it in one hit. We will cover other branches in the nearer future, as and when we can fit them in. We don't want to give it all in one hit because we don't want to be seen as obviously like, oh, full on JT. Let's just do all the stuff for that. So we'll do it fairly and just drop a video in here and there. Mainly as an aid to help people out. So this section of the route is quite, it's a lovely section of the route. You wouldn't feel like you were in the London area or going towards London at this point. With the amount of hills, the trees and all the foliage, you'd think of this sort of line as like a single car DMU territory. Apart from the 3rd and 4th rail, it gives it all away that you are on obviously the London Underground. It's very picturesque, this section, and you get some lovely screenshots and certain daylight settings as well. I love to see people's screenshots when it's in full swing and everyone's probably getting to grips with the route. So on this section, we don't actually come across any signals until we start joining up with the main line from Amersham at Chalfont and Latimer. We'll start to see it. We'll start off with some distance signals on the approach to the junction before we get to the first approach control of our journey. When we hit these approach controls as well, I will do my best to give you the correct speed to be doing within the approach to the signal. Give you a good chance of not having to tap the signals. If the signal does not change for you, you can tab this to get past it, but it will not give you an aspect. One way around this is obviously then to tab it and carry on, or if you want to have another go, then obviously you can restart the scenario. Quite a climb out of the Cheshire branch, but it's 1 in 66 for the majority of the run. Obviously in the other direction it's a bit more of a challenge because you've got to try and keep the speed all the way down the hill. We're just 1.5 miles away now to Chalfont and Latimer. We are going to start to see the line to and from Aylesbury coming on the right hand side shortly around this bend. 0.7 of a mile we've got our first signals appearing. We do have a distance before it. The distant repeaters do not show up on the hood itself. This signal coming up in a moment on the left is one of over 120 new custom signals that have been created for the route. These have all been put into the LUL library, which will come in use on many freeway routes that may surface for the London Underground. As you see, that one's got distant on its ID plate as well, which is a custom plate attached to the signal, rather than your normal number IDs. That signal always stays at yellow as well. You'll never get a green aspect off that signal. So just under half a mile we have our first approach control. We have our signal here, which is telling us that our next signal, which is the AC, that is currently set to red, which will require us to slow down to the permitted speed to allow the signal to change. We're going downhill now, so you've got to try and keep that speed. It can be quite tricky. We'll start slowing down now. This signal triggers at below 10 miles per hour. Yeah, a couple of chances with this signal. If you miss the first AC timing section, then you can get another chance on the way up. And as you can see there, it has just triggered over to yellow, and it's giving us the feather as well till we are crossing over. I like to play caution with this one because sometimes it likes to change itself back on me and then change again. If you don't catch it, it can say trick cock off, which is fun because you have to drive for 3 minutes at 10 miles an hour, and that can really mess with your timings. quite dramatically. So we're drawing onto the main line where it picks up 60 mile an hour shortly. The whole Cheshire branch, by the way, is 35 mile an hour, apart from the 15 miles an hour and the 10 section for the junction here, and the 15 and 10 at the station of Chalfont, Chesham. Otherwise, it's a full 35-minute slog up the up or down the valley there. Cheshire branch itself is about three and a half mile. The next fun part is trying to get your CCTVs to work. Obviously by stopping in the correct stopping position with the chevron. There we go, we've managed to do that one. It usually deteriorates as we get further along because I start missing them all. It's quite a challenge. The way that we would learn to do it is in the sim is to go to the second man side and then sort of line up your chevrons with the pillar. If your pillar is in with the green sort of area, like it's at the minute, it's in a good spot, you will usually get your camera, or should get the camera. Just to note, we are currently we're running this video on RW Enhancer turned off to show you what you get out of the pack. So we're just waiting for the blue light. There we go. We've got the lock. There we go. We can go. Next up's Chorleywood in 2.21 mile. So the cameras at the minute stay on until we get past the 8-car marker, which are these little blue signs on the posts. And there we go. We're currently running on the London Aylesbury section of the route, so Chiltern Mainline trains share this part of the route from just before, sort of joining at Finchley Road, and then it'll run all the way down here to Aylesbury. Chiltern trains do join in and come off as well at Neasden Junction. All the trains to Birmingham head off and turn off just before the depot if you're on the south side of the route. With the route itself, the scenarios are included with the actual S7+1 or the S8 stock. The only scenarios you get with the route are the quick drives, so you can run anything out of the bag, or the free roams. Special HUD basic versions have been included with the actual route installer itself, so you can actually drive a basic version of the S8, which you don't get a proper driver view. You get a basic driver view. No passenger view or anything like that, but you do get the sounds, and you can actually drive if you don't have the S8 or the SM+1 at least, just to give you a bit of a taste of what the pack can be like. So if you do like it, then obviously you can go back and pick up whichever pack you decide to purchase. And obviously when you do purchase, then you will on top of that get the actual route scenarios, because the scenarios for the route are contained within the S stock installers. Which doesn't really make much difference at all to the way they're distributed, because of if you don't have stock, you can't run it. So either way, you're going to get the scenarios with the stock. This is Chorleywood. Again, note a lovely old signal box there on the right hand side of the end of the platform. We don't actually have any more approach control signals to contend with until Watford Triangle Junction. So the south side of the junction. The north side does have an approach control, but it's only used as an AC if you're turning off to go towards Watford on the lesser used curve. See what I mean? I've missed the cameras there. It doesn't take long to miss them. I usually get slaughtered for it on my streams. I do my best. I like to shut the doors a little bit early so we can sort of get off the mark once the red bar's finished. It does take a moment for the doors to shut and give you the blue indication that the doors have got full interlock. Our next stop is Rickmansworth, and that is in 2.11 miles. So we're currently travelling on the faster part of the route, 60 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour, the more high-end speeds for this section up down to Finchley Road. Start slowing down then, where we start dropping down to like the 30s and the 20s, and get a bit of 45 mile an hour in a couple of spots, but it is more slow pace. As well, the fun fact is the Metropolitan Line is the fastest network on the Underground. Good the work there too. We're just crossing under the M25. So we're going to drop down to 25 miles an hour now. The reason behind this 25 mile an hour was that there used to be a crossing of some sort in the area here. The crossing, I do believe, isn't there anymore, but the limit is always stuck. Just never raised it or anything. It's quite a tight curve at Rickmansworth, but I'd probably maybe say 30 mile an hour might be maybe a limit for that curve, if realistically I would say. I love these new track joint rattles and these motor sounds on the pack from the ATS freeware pack that was made. Really good. I do recommend them. I can see a difference. So the old signal box to the right hand side here, and the left hand side there is a water tower at Rickmansworth station. Not quite sure what this is on the actual end of the station though. These assets were there before we started the Met route properly. I mean, the Met line was built alongside with the London Aylesbury branch for so long before they branched apart. Some of the assets are pre-existing. We're going to do an external departure so you can hear the sounds as well. I'm not sure if the sounds for the doors have been sorted out or sort of tweaked. They don't sound as clunky when the door's shut. As you should hopefully have heard there, you can tell the difference, especially with the flange sounds as well. So in a couple of signals time we do have an approach control to contend with. This next signal is the one that I mentioned before, where it's an approach control if you want to turn off to Watford. That one is changed at 20, I think it's 20 miles per hour for that one if you was to turn off and do a left. Continuing straight on, it doesn't need to be approach control, but it will give you a single yellow for the next approach control, which is 0.45 of a mile away. So we're going to slow ourselves down now. This one requires a 25 mile an hour drop down to. Some signals you get a couple of chances, some you only get the one chance. I think there's only the one chance with the signal. Below 25, and you can see now we've just been given the proceed and the feather. So the line to and from Watford is now joined on the left, and we're going to join that line now. So this service I think is a Watford service, so he's waiting for us as we've been given priority to cross over ahead of him. Once that junction is cleared, that will get the proceed to continue as I think he has now. You can see the flashing spark on the shoe there. In that period of the day at the minute on the tea time rush, so you do get fast trains as well. This is as well one of the scenarios that is featured within the S7+1 or the S8 pack. Obviously, whichever one you run on is obviously, if you're at the 7+1 pack, you'll drive the S7+1. If it's the S8, you'll obviously drive the S8. This is Moor Park. Stations like Moor Park aren't so bad with the chevron because it's on the right hand side, so you don't have to look to the right. You don't have to move anywhere. Although I slightly shot short of the green box, we've still got the camera, so you do get a little bit of leeway to note. Next stop is Northwood, and that is in 1.36 miles. They're quite relatively short runs between platforms on the route, usually a couple miles most. So now I'm going to run on the 4-line section now down to Finchley Road. The two far right lines are now classed as the fast up and down. We're running on the slow lines. The only stations that the fast lines stop at are Moor Park, Harrow on the Hill, and then they run straight down to Finchley Road. They miss out stations between Harrow on the Hill and Finchley Road, such as you've got Wimbley Park there, which you miss out, Northwood Park and Preston Road. So if you do a fast one from Harrow Hill down to Finchley Road, it's a good 7 miles non-stopping drive there. Slight overrun on that one. Coming a little bit hot on that one. Next up we have Northwood Hills, and that station is 1 mile exactly between Northwood and there. So you'll note as well a lot of the platforms are busy at certain times of the day. We're in the tea time peak at the minute, so these will be a lot busier. I think the way that the stations were set up, so between midnight and 2 there's a very, very minimal amount of people on the platforms, and like 2 o'clock till 5 in the morning there's nothing at all. It then starts picking up again between 5 and 6 to a low amount. 6 o'clock then till 10 is like rush, so it gets quite busy. And then it starts dipping down again between 10 and 12, right down then between 12 and 4, and then it proper jumps up for the tea time rush then till like 8 o'clock or so, when it drops back down, starts quieting down for the evening. So there's a good variety of passenger traffic to be seen at various parts of your day. As well, if you do ever wish to have a little look around at Northwood Hills, you can always nip over to the Taj Mahal, find Indian cuisine, or the route. Custom asset requested by Mr. Alex Ford of Just Trains. Always wanted a curry house with the name of the Taj Mahal, so it's quite fitting to the route. We had to put one in somewhere, and I managed to find one quite close to the line here, takeaway area. So we thought we'll use this location, and you can see the poster as well, sort of from the line. So little bonus goodie asset in there. I haven't actually got the full amount of custom assets to this route. There is quite a few. All the tunnels and the stations and a lot of bespoke bits and pieces like buildings and stuff along the way as well, custom to the route. But I haven't got the total figure on that one, unfortunately. Signals, though, there's over 120 that were made for this route, which extended the existing LU library. Next stop is Pinner, just over a mile away. Another thing to note out is the radio centre changes at various points along the route. We are currently in Harrow on the Hill, but when we do cross over the triggers at various points, they will change to the different signal centres along the network. Ones to look out for are the Amersham, Rickmansworth, Harrow on the Hill, Wembley Park, Neasden, Finchley Road, Baker Street. I think there's a Farringdon one, I know that. I'm not sure about King's Cross. I can't remember. You've got Aldgate and Rayners Lane. I think it's 11 altogether. So we're not too far from Harrow on the Hill, where the Uxbridge branch also joins in to the route. Route map itself as well is as follows. So we started up here at Chesham and we've travelled our way down. Over here is Amersham. This terminus is for Watford, and then obviously down here you have Uxbridge. Joining in at Harrow on the Hill, you've got the Piccadilly line that obviously joins in here at Rayners Lane. Just going to get ourselves moving. So Harrow on the Hill is in the centre here. Moving onwards, you have Wembley Park and Neasden, then Finchley Road, down to Baker Street, and then travelling along down to Aldgate. North Harrow's just under half a mile away now. We'll do a passenger departure in a moment as well, just so we can hear the sounds in the passenger saloon. But North Harrow, you get quite a cool, get the street scene down here as well, so you get some shots of when the train departs. Along with the S stock now, there's extra passenger views. So this was the original default version. We now have the additional standing up one where you can see straight down the train, which is quite cool when you're snaking around some bends and then tunnels and stuff. You can just see the train wiggling around. And then we also have a seating view. Now this sound pack seems to like cut the audio out on this view, possibly because of the update. So maybe when the update has reached everyone, as the update is now live, it might get an update itself, so we might be able to get the sounds fixed inside. Be nice to see. The only other thing as well with the sound pack is that it doesn't apply any sounds to the AI models. So maybe we might see an update for that down the line as well. Other than that, I can't fault it. It's a brilliant little addition to the train. It just makes it even more enjoyable, and I enjoy the S8 as it is. I'm not just saying that because I work for Just Trains. I actually physically do enjoy driving the S stock. I do enjoy driving the route as well. you think a lot of people do get bored when they build their own stuff. Obviously, the projects they work on after so long, and they tend not to drive them. But this one, I can't get enough of physically, which doesn't always happen with routes I work on. Some I would like to just work on, turn it off, and don't go back to it until I have to. So this one ticks all my boxes. I think more to the fact because it's such a challenge and it's quite a fun drive, especially with the approach controls, and you've got a lot to contend with, and hoping that you can get to the CCTVs and stuff in the right mark and stuff. Gives you a bit more of a challenge, definitely. Always got to be on your toes. It's not just a jump into a simple DMU and just drive A to B, C to D, pick up some passengers. You're always looking, making sure you're doing right, and if you don't do it right that time, you're hoping that you can bet yourself the next time. And just get there, perfect. I mean, I try not to now go to the other side of the cab. I try and get it right. The more confident you get, the more the feel you get with the route and the train and where the stopping marks are. You start getting a lot more confident, definitely. Next stop is Northwick Park. Northwick Park is just under a mile, so 0.8 miles. So Northwick Park and Preston Road are the two island platforms, so we're now on the slow lines which have now joined into the centre of the tracks. The outer lines are the fast lines, and then the two furthest to the right are the Chiltern Mainline sections track. The Chiltern Mainline track from Harrow on the Hill onwards to Marylebone now is all non-electrified. Stations on this route have also got some custom ambient sounds recorded. Not everyone's got a bespoke set, but there's a lot of that do. Mainly the feature of the Uxbridge branch stations and the tunnels. A couple on this section have got some custom ones also. Hoping that maybe down the line we can get some more for it and additionally add them in moving forward. Just adds that little bit more ambience to the route as well. I mean, you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, but there's no train." You can hear a train, but there's no train there. I'd just think that noise does add to it. Even if you can't see it, it just gives you a feel. Especially we've not got the Jubilee trains, so like at Wembley Park, you can actually hear the and Finchley Road, you can hear the Jubilee trains taking off. Which is, at least, even though you can't drive them, at least you can sort of hear them. It gives you that sense that they are around. Northwick Park as well is 0.88 of a mile. Right, so onwards to Wembley Park, which is just under a mile away. In a moment we're going to cross over the Jubilee lines, which join in the centre. The Jubilee line comes in from Stanmore, to and from. That comes under the fly under and joins up in the centre of the two fast and slow lines either side. The routes merge just past Wembley Park, and the fast and slow lines join together again, and then you'll then have an up and down of the Met line, and then the up and down of the Jubilee line in the centre, and then the two Chiltern lines to the right, all the way down towards Finchley Road. You can just see Wembley Park Stadium through the centre window, the top arch of the stadium there. Once we've done our stop here at Wembley Park, we are straight through non-stop to Finchley Road, which is the next station for the Met. We do pass some stations along the way which are to do with the Jubilee line. There is a couple that the S8s do occasionally stop at if they have to for emergency reasons. I will note them along our way. You'll note as well that on this section you'll see the Jubilee line signals. Obviously, with it being ATO, we have actually bagged the signals off with a special custom asset which was lately placed. As well with that, you cannot actually see the signal glows coming through them, so you can actually run some form of stock on there as AI, and it would look like it's running in ATO mode. Neasden Depot is on our left coming up, and also we've just crossed over the fly under where trains to and from would arrive and depart from Neasden Depot itself. We're going to shortly slow down to 40 miles per hour just as we go through Neasden station, but then we do jump back up to 60 miles per hour. You might just note that the signal, the radio has just changed as well to the Neasden centre. Also, the lines to and from Birmingham on the Chiltern Main line are coming in on our right hand side under this bridge, just as you can see down there. So trains do occasionally stop at Neasden, mainly to drop passengers, the drivers off that would like to get off here and go back to the depot for whatever reason they have to. The only other reason that the S stock would ever stop here is if there's an incident on the track and they are required to detrain passengers onto the Jubilee line. That happens at this station and also at Willesden Green, I think. Yeah, it's Willesden Green. Willesden Green is 2 stations long. The next station in the centre is a Jubilee line station, that's Dollis Hill. This is Dollis Hill. So again, Willesden Green is this next station, so another one where if incidents have happened on the line and you are required to detrain, you can stop it. There is markers, there's chevrons and CCTV as well, so everything works if required to. I'm not overly sure if they stopped here properly at one point in their life, possibly on the old A stock. We're just up 1.5 miles now, coming up to Finchley Road. The next stop we're going to pass on the centre island lines of the Jubilee is Kilburn. This platform doesn't have outer platforms for the Met trains if anything ever goes wrong. In a moment we'll also cross over the North London line. The North London line crosses under the final bridge before the curve, which is this one now. Sort of snakes underneath and goes off its wherever it goes to. This next station is West Hampstead, which is another Jubilee station. No platforms for the Met line trains to stop at. There is turn back facilities as well for Jubilee trains there if they wish to need to do so. So in a moment is where the Chiltern Mainline trains dive down into the tunnel towards Marylebone. We will see the Chiltern Main Line very, very briefly when we get to Lords, just before Baker Street, in one of the cuttings. This is the beginning of the tunnel section of the route. We dip in and out of cuttings between Finchley Road and Aldgate. The stations to call at are the following: Baker Street, Great Portland Street, Euston Square, King's Cross St Pancras, Farringdon, Barbican, Moorgate, Liverpool Street, and finally on to our final destination of Aldgate. This section of the route is one of the more challenging parts of the line, with a number of approach control signals and draw-ups to contend with. Please do watch closely. This will help out if you are struggling as well. So do take a good close look at the signals as we approach them. I will also talk about them as we approach them, just to let you know how they operate and what you need to do, so that you can refer back if you are struggling. So we're just about to approach Swiss Cottage. Used to be an old station here, I do believe. Not too sure when it's shut. Swiss Cottage is also now served by the Jubilee line. There is still evident looks of an old platform that used to once be here. We're now going to jump into a number of single bore cuttings. The single bore cuttings do also feature a special concrete lofted track with grid textures throughout. And we do have an approach control signal coming up quite soon as well. So you're going to come up to a repeater signal in a moment, as you can see just going up on the left on the ground. Just beyond there you need to start slowing down and be just below the 20 mph mark. To make this signal change it would be 20, but the way train signals limitations are, you have to be doing like 19.9 at the most for it to change, like so. If for whatever reason you come caning in at silly speeds and you miss the sensor, you would have to tab past these signals, because there's no way that you will get another chance. This is Marlborough Road as well. I'm just going to pause it and show you. Marlborough Road used to have a station here as well, I believe shut in the 1939. The old station building is still present, but is now just a security door with access to TfL workers, I would assume, which will get them down to track level, down the staircases. It has of course got a massive nod to that there was once a platform here, with the amount of gap between the wall cuttings and the track either side, before it dives back into the tunnels. This section jumps up to 45 mph for a brief period before dropping back down for 40, and then to the next approach control beyond the tunnel mouth. Again, this is a 20 mph, so 19.9 at your maximum to make this one change. Once you get more confident with these, you can actually push the speeds further and further. Once you start learning how quick you can get your train to stop. So you need to be doing just below the 20 mark, like so. And then if you look at just ahead, the signal has now just changed, just in front of that S stock coming down the tunnel there. And this is Lord's. Once again, Lord's used to have a station. Excuse me. There's another nod that used to be platforms here. You can just tell with the width between the walls and the track, and bits of old concrete that obviously once were platforms. Now it's just cables and junction boxes stored in here. I do apologise for coughing. So Chiltern Line is just on the right hand side beyond the S stock. We are climbing over Regent's Canal as well, so we dip over the top and then dip back down. And beyond here is another approach control signal in the centre of the two tracks before the tunnel mouth there. This one is a 15 miles per hour one, so 14.9 for the most, at the utmost to make this change. Anything below it will change, provided there is no train in the next section. This is the final single bore tunnel section before Baker Street, and then we are on double section tunnels all the way through. Actually, but apart from the single section at King's Cross St Pancras, where that actually does go into separate sections for a moment. These are the big sections done with. This next signal is quite an interesting one. It's a draw-up signal. The draw-up signals have to be driven up to below 5 miles per hour. So 4.9 at the utmost to make this one trigger. The only issue with this one is you're going downhill, so you need to watch your speed because it really does catch you out if you're not on your toes with this one. So always apply the brakes quite early if you can, unless you're getting really confident with the route. So just rolling up to it gently. You might not see the signal change, but the way you know this one has changed is that the signal beyond will change at the same time. So you can just see the red in the distance. Depending where you are, if you get close enough, you should see them both. There you go. They've just both triggered there. Once you go past it, you can power up again. God, didn't plan to cough in the video. The next couple of signals are approach controls. These are quite close to each other with where the triggers are, so you have to be on your toes with these. If you've got a train ahead of you, do be prepared to stop, as it will not give you green if there's a train in the section. All these are below 10 miles per hour to trigger, so as long as you're doing 9.9 at the utmost, they will change providing you have nothing in your path. So just always have the brakes on ready to stop in case anything goes wrong. And there you go, it's changed. You can power back up again. The final approach control before the station is this next one over here. So again, 10 miles per hour, so 9.9 at the utmost for MB5. Always be prepared again to stop. So now we have a draw-up signal once again, so remember draw-up signals are below 5 miles per hour, so 4.9 for the utmost. The draw-up signal is in the centre of the tracks here, MB140. Also noting that you've got a canopy repeater there stating that the next signal obviously is red. So keeping your eye on the signalling. Make sure you are below 5 miles per hour to make this signal change. There we go. You can power up again if you wish to do so. Have a little look around Baker Street before we get ourselves moving again. So you've got the concourse area here, which takes you through to platforms 5 and 6 of the Hammersmith City and Circle lines. The old digital clock, digital analog clock, sorry, on the top of the entrances there. Wembley, Harrow, Uxbridge, Watford, and Amersham, which are the terminuses of this branch network. So you've got platform 2 and 3 in the centre. You've got a bay platform for platform 1 over here. You can actually walk through if you wish to do so to the other platforms. Get yourself a butty if you wish to do so. There's no one working today though, so you might be waiting a while to pay. And then crossing over to the other side is the other bay platform for number 4. Also noting that the old signal box is in situation still, which is now covered up with all the cabling. And a few junction boxes in there as well, just dotted about. Right, so next up is Great Portland Street. We have another approach control coming up in a moment. This one changed on the 35 mph mark, so you get a change. Well, as long as there's nothing ahead of you, you will get a trigger on that. Great Portland Street doesn't feature an approach control at the end of its platform. You don't have to worry about that on this one. Oh, you can hear the ambient sounds here as well. It does say mind the gap there. I'm not sure if it picked up very well in the video there. If you did, you heard it. Excellent. Next station is Euston Square in 0.3 of a mile. Quite a short distance, this one. Euston Square has a approach control, and this is a 10 mph approach control at the end of the platform. All stations are 10 mph. 9.9 would be the utmost on the speed you will need to be doing. You get some busy sections on this part of the route. You can get quite a few trains following each other, depending on where they're going to, or what time of the day it is. You could get a Circle Line, a Hammersmith City, and then a Met train within a few seconds of each other. Makes for some good scenario creation. Very challenging as well, getting them timings right. Make sure you don't miss anything not moving. So as you leave here, there's another approach control just down the line there. These are line speed, so you can go up to 35 miles an hour. Provided there's no train ahead, they will change. There we go. So we're just approaching King's Cross St Pancras Station next. We drop down to 20 miles per hour. past the crossovers. Small section of single track as it does the island platform on this one. So again, 10 miles per hour for this one, so 9.9 the most to make this one trigger. You always got to remember as well with your doors, make sure you're the right side or left side at the right platforms, so you can get into the habit of doing the left side as all the way through, and then before you realise it, oh, you've been opening the wrong doors, especially at this one. I've done it here a few times on the wrong side. It's especially on the stream, it's a bit embarrassing. You just get into that habit and you forget. Next up is Farringdon in 1.15 miles. This next section is one of my favourite parts of the route. Just love the cuttings and all the high walls and all the ironwork in the girders and stuff like that. You cross through and pass under. Then it opens you out into the Farringdon cutting, which is an absolute my favourite little bit. When you come out that tunnel, you see all that. The Thames Link coming up underneath and climbing up the steep gradient and all the detail into the walls and stuff. One thing to remember as well is that all the cuttings and all the tunnels are all custom assets. Obviously more for the cuttings, you would know that nothing's done with loft walls. The tunnels themselves are all custom assets and they're just single place, not done with lofts, which you can get a lot more detail out of. Stuff like this as well, with these girders over the top of the track. With nice lighting as well, you can get some good screenshots. Quite an interesting part of the route as well. I'm just going to pause this here just to show you got the Morpeth board. There's literally one of these on the route. As far as I'm aware and can think of, there's only one of these yellow Morpeth boards, which marks the 25 mile an hour speed drop around the bend. So an interesting one to look out for. So the 25 changes just here. We are now in the Farringdon signalling centre, and just as you leave the tunnel you have the view of the cutting here. We'll have a look at this in a minute when we stop into Farringdon. So the repeater's on at the minute. We've got an approach control just around there, so we need to start slowing down just to make this one trigger. So again 9.9. You should get the signal up. There we go. But if nothing's ahead of you, you'll see the repeater change to green. You know you can power up them. At the end of Farringdon, you've also got a draw up signal. So again, remember it's a 4.9 maximum speed for the 5 mile an hour change. Don't ask why it's 4. It's always 0.9. It's just a limitation with train sim. Unfortunately, it's just something we could not get around. We tried our best with it. There we go. I'm just going to pause and have a quick look around the area. So first of all, you got your Farringdon Station, which I think is absolutely, personally, I think it's one of the nicest stations on the route. Especially for this on this section, this is my favourite, with the glass roofs and when the lighting hits it on the back walls here, and at certain points of the day you get some lovely screenshots. Again, this is one where I'm looking forward to see a lot of screenshots of other users. It really is a lovely job on that one from the asset developer. So this section is quite cool as well. Everything around it's all got custom assets, asset blocks they were called. So there's like number 1 to 28. So between King's Cross down the cutting down there and up to the tunnel before Barbican, there's like 28 custom big block buildings, which you can see all around the area here. You've got the cutting here as well, where the Thameslink dives under the Met line and goes into the tunnels, and you can see this sheer gradient there that they either drop down or climb to get into Farringdon and leaving. It's a 30-mile-an-hour section of track, this as well, so they're not doing it at a great deal of speed, but it's quite a climb. But I mean, you get some good shots in the lighting here if you get the right time of day. You can get some nice lighting shots. Again, yeah, one of my favourites by far. I think I'm allowed to have a favourite, I'm sure I am. I'd love to know as well in the comments, please do let us know which one your favourite is, and maybe a reason why. We'd love to hear back from you. Maybe there's a station on the route which is close to your heart for a certain reason, whether it's just a route that you travel from to get to work or back, or it's just one that you like to go and watch trains on. We'd like to hear. So as we leave Farringdon, we go into another cutting. This is the east, southbound side, so east cutting. Got Smithfield's market in the background there, through the cutting of the buildings. Next stop's Barbican as well. It's quite a short distance between these two platforms. The rest of these are all quite relatively close to each other now. Only a couple of miles left at Moorgate. And I'm pretty sure he should be walking down the track. Saw myself down there. Sometimes I seem to get a bit of a glitch with the passengers, depending on how they want to spawn. Nightmare. There's no consistency. So Barbican as well is quite a lovely station. This one was made by Wilstead. Certain features such as the old ironwork here, where once held a canopy roof, which I believe was taken down in the 60s, which is a shame really. I think this would have been absolutely stunning with a bigger roof over the top of it there. I don't think the roof sort of was just covered this bit here. You've also got the section where the Crossrails is taken over with the hoarding and stuff like that. I think you've got Crossrail offices, which are these ones here. I'm not really sure if this is actually part of the Crossrail network or not, this bit, but it's just been acquired and track has been used elsewhere. No idea, I've never seen these people do this before. Something's occurring. They're all intrigued to see what's in the tunnel. Next stop is Moorgate in 0.38 miles. Moorgate is another station that doesn't feature a approach control at the end of the platform. Travelling in the other direction, you do have a draw-up signal. Again, we'll feature a run in the other direction soon. You do get them odd little quiet spots as well with the traffic, and then it busies up again with more trains. So as we leave the station in a moment, you'll note on the track that there is a PSR, which is a permanent speed restriction, which is always 20 miles per hour on this section of the track. It's been like this for a very long time, I believe. The tube driver that helps with Just Trains and that is stated that that's been there for a very long time. Whether it'll ever change or not is beyond me, but I'm not sure if it's because there's a bit of track that's worn or something like that. Not too sure. But it's 20 till we get towards the end of the tunnel. It jumps back up to 40 again. And you'll know when you're at the end because you will see. It'll come into distance shortly. You should just see at the end of the tunnel there, just past one of the signals, a TT sign. That's a termination board in the track there. Again, you see the old signal box here at Liverpool Street. And Liverpool Street again is another station that doesn't feature an approach control at the end of the station. So we're just 0.3 of a mile now to Aldgate, and we have two more signals around the bend. Both of these are approach controlled. Both of them are 10 mile an hour to make them trigger as well. You can see the signal which is red, which is OD1. So, presuming you are doing the right speed somewhere around here, it should change. Should change, he says. Don't think it wants to actually change, unless it's because of the train just crossing over. Let's just have a look. He's disappeared into a portal. There we go, we've got to roll back, so it's all going a bit pear-shaped. So, to acknowledge this, we're going to trick cut forward. Just going to take the dead man handle out, trick cut reset, back in the power handle. There we go. I'm just going to tab this because it's not decided to change. I might have just gone a little bit too quick over the mark for that one, but it is a 10 mile an hour signal, that. The next signal ahead as well is another 10 mile an hour to change at. So we're provided you're doing 9.9 around this sort of mark, it should give you the road. There we go. We are actually only able to do 10 mile an hour at the minute because we've got the scat icon, which is the little speedo indicator there. So we're going to go into platform 2 at Moorgate, which is our final station for the run. We'll have a look around Moorgate station before we finish up here as well. Right, so have a look around the Moorgate station first of all. So again, massive structure is this one. So actually enter the station from up here on the main road. Ticket barriers and stuff in there. Coming down the stairwell, platforms at lower level. You've got screens in here as well, which is quite cool. I only found out about this about a week or so ago. I didn't even realise it actually had rolling adverts. It's quite cool. So platform 2 and 3 are the Met lines, 1 and 4 the outside platforms are for the Circle line. Hammersmith City and that goes down that way towards Barking, to and from, and then travel to Hammersmith and that via Paddington. There is also custom announcements here. So, really do hope that you've found this video informative. We hope that you do pick up and learn how to drive the route with aid of this video. If there's anything you are unsure of, do drop a comment in the bottom. We will do our very best to give you a hand on that. Don't forget you can purchase the Met line at justtrains.net along with the S7+1 or the S8, whichever you decide to pick up. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/TrainSimTV_Tom or TrainSimTV_Mark. My channel, Tom's, is the one that's more active. You'll catch me on a Wednesday or Friday night most weeks, without fail usually, or we do sometimes do extra bonus streams on a weekend, and we will let you know on our Facebook channel for that. If you do want to find us on Facebook, just search for TrainSimTV. You'll find us there with our logo. Without fail, you won't miss that. I think there's a link in our About Us section for that anyway. So again, thank you very, very much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much.